Apparently, my voice is still needing work. Good evening, everyone. This is not a hoax. We are live. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Um, yeah, I got a fun story to tell you, and lots of great topics to talk about tonight. Happy Father's Day. The following podcast may be disturbing to some die-hard cryptid hunters. We're all here to have a good time, so sit back, have a drink, and let's learn together about myths, monsters, and legends, and some hoaxes. All right, so today, getting home from work was quite the ordeal, but I managed to survive my trip on the bus. Um, Getting to work was even a big ordeal. Um, we're under construction everywhere in my city. And of course, there happened to be a marathon going on uh, all over the city. Um, so streets were blocked off, power was out in areas, and I swear, it took me like 2 hours just to get to work. Just to try it. My husband, I love him dearly, but sometimes his thinking uh, isn't always the best. But managed to get to buy a card for my father-in-law, which Walmart had very little selection. Gotta love those last-minute shoppers. Okay, so Walmart. Why does Walmart have such a big selection of cards for Mother's Day, and just a little standee with like two sides worth of Father's Day cards? I'm sorry, I don't get it. But anyway, managed to find a card for my father-in-law. Go to McDonald's, have my lunch, and start to work. I managed to be at work fairly decently. So, but it was crazy. And coming home on the bus, apparently, yes, I can be pretty mouthy when I want to be. I don't mean to start fights with people, but yeah. So a woman tried to start a fight with me getting off the bus today, coming home. Um, So if you guys want to know what the fight was all about, you guys can follow my story on TikTok, or I will post it to YouTube as well later. Yeah, it is, yeah, an interesting story. Apparently sticking up for a bus driver caused people to react in a very violent manner, I might add. I'm okay though. um Unfortunately, right now, Keisha is not here. She's busy with her family celebrating Father's Day. My husband left this morning to see his father. I'm at home. I had to work today. I got off fairly early and just pick fights with people on the bus. But I wish you, every father out there, even the pet dads, very happy Father's Day. Uh, and speaking of pet dads, hi Carl Witzman. It's the 16th, and we're back. We are back. We are definitely back. Uh, Blade Thesis, hello. Oh, apparently Blade has a new toy. Can't wait to see it. Oh, Carl says that who had to go outdoors for a bit. Now I'm hot. You know what? In Winnipeg, it was a really nice day. Um, rain has been like plaguing us, and unfortunately that happened for the last show, where it was thundering, lightning, the whole works, lots of wind, and in typical Winnipeg fashion, I'm not sure if it's supposed to rain tonight. Knock on wood that it doesn't, but it's really windy today. And we got Donna Carlene. Hello, hello. Dan Holyfield. Good evening. So there's if you guys want to read the chat, you guys gonna have to join the many people on YouTube land, but we do have some people on our Facebook page. Hello, Daniel McClelland and Eli T. Cash. Marathons, Martians, and Madness. Oh my. So yes, I am here. I am here finally, and yeah, trying to get through this thing we call life. So, one of my favorite stories that, while I was looking up hoaxes, one of my favorite stories that came up, it was the story of Richard Branson's April Fool's joke, where he made an air balloon and hired some guy to dress up as E.T. to come out of it when it landed. A little person, shall we say. And that's what it looks like from the sky. And this is hilarious to me because, you know, we always ask ourselves, is there life outside of Earth? And, you know, I'm pretty sure the altercation that happened while I was on the bus is the reason why aliens lock their doors when they pass through Earth. And then, but yeah, I love this story. Just hiring a guy to dress up as an alien from ET to scare the crap out of police when they came to look at and investigate the balloon. Speaking of balloons, in 2009, who remembers the story of the Balloon Boy? So the family that perpetrated this whole scenario tried to fake the whole experience of their son being in the balloon when it went into the air. So the experiment was, the craft was invented by the boy's father, Richard Heaney. It was I can't read today. It was moored in the backyard of the family Fort Collins home. The National Guard, along with numerous sheriff's officers, the National Guard, along with numerous sheriff's officers and media outlets, tracked the craft for about 2.5 hours. When the balloon sat down in the field southeast of Hudson in Wild Country, Falcon was not inside. So yes, the boy is in the middle of the three of the family there. He was told to hide in their attic, while for 2.5 hours people searched for him after the balloon had landed. I believe it was like 2.5, or like it floated for 2.5 hours, and I think there was a huge search that happened. The parents did end up being put into jail for this false claim. So remember, folks, if you're going to build a balloon, make it funny. Less chances of you guys going to jail for it. Oh yeah. Carl says we were watching all the live updates on the news. I see. And for something like this to make international news, like I remember watching CNN for this too, and I that father was a scammer from way back. Interesting. So yeah, apparent. Oh, yes, someone had. Yeah, I think Blade. You mentioned this before on my page. Not only do I remember this whole debacle, but I remember when the family was on wife swap twice. Eli T. Cash says Earth is just a zoo to cosmic zoologists and entomologists. Oh, Daniel McKellen says E.T. scared me as a kid. You know what? I seem to remember that. Like I remember that movie. Um, it came out it came out when I was born, but I remember watching it uh, in school one year, and all I can remember is the candy that like the Reese's Pieces being a huge thing. I'll eat it from time to time, but I can't have Reese's Pieces without thinking of Family Guy's little trap of uh, James Woods with the candy. Ooh, a piece of candy. Yeah, Donna, I need a balloon. I mean, you have a piece of it, don't you? Like you found a weather balloon that you let your cats play with. Carl says, sounds like it's something Branson would do about the Branson thing. Oh my God. Yeah, the people who ride the bus are definitely cryptids in their own right. Yeah, that's for sure. I imagine lots of cryptids ride the bus. Uh, oh, live in Memorex. Willow is still lovely. Thank you, Dan. Uh, oh, Carl says the cats only get to play with the string, not the balloon. That's right. So I'm curious, what are you planning on doing with the balloon in the long run? Are you planning on re-releasing it up into the air for more tracking? All right. Okay, so another interesting hoax we all know and love. Okay, so I know a lot of you do still believe that Bigfoot is real. Um, I know that there is. Oh, I thought that loaded. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll try to load up that video, but there is a video that I found on YouTube. Uh, National Geographic did release a video regarding the story behind the Bigfoot incident of that video, like of a movie or a documentary that was filmed in the 60s. And they found the guy who dressed up in the costume, and he goes into full detail. I'm sure you guys can find it on YouTube, but I will definitely try to play that. But apparently, there was another hoax where people had found in quotations a body in ice of Bigfoot that ended up being fake. So they keep trying very hard to claim that they found the body of Bigfoot or proof of Bigfoot. I'm still not convinced it's real. Sorry, guys. I can't. That is just something that I can't personally believe. Um, but Johnny will say differently. Okay, and then who remembers the story of the crop circles? And how they became to be. People still claim that crop circles are from alien spacecraft landing, which I'm curious if that is the case. Are they just individual spacecraft that are landed in a type formation like that, or is that the way the bottom of the spaceship looks? But the story is that two guys created the crop circles with a wooden plank and some rope. And I believe they were college buddies in England. And they went around and went into farmers' fields and created these crop circles. Now, lots of people have since copied their their designs and the way they make it. See, the thing about the crop circle hoax is people were so fascinated by the crop circles and how none of the plants were broken, and they claim that was their proof that aliens existed, was the special way that the crop itself was folded and the stalks weren't actually broken. Donna Carlene says, I've got to go with my Scottish heritage and say Nessie is mine. I would hope that aliens would do better than leave messages by damaging property, but two drunken Brits, sure, says Carl. Blade says, I can't decide which hoax is my favorite, psychic surgery or crop circles. Carl says, if Bigfoot exists, it's either people hiding in the woods or an ape. See, my big thing is it's always spotted in like dream hunting season when it comes to Bigfoot. I have always envisioned Bigfoot, or like the person behind the Bigfoot hoax or the sightings, is usually a hunter in a ghillie suit walking around early morning just waiting for that hunt. The balloon is in tatters is just for show, apparently. A little bit of duct tape will bring it back to life, I'm sure. And then there was this story. This story gets me. The baby Eve clone. And okay, so I need to go to Wikipedia for this. It's from a group called Clonade. And tell me you look like a cult without telling me you look like a cult. Oh, this couple, I don't think that they're an actual couple, but these two get me. And then SNL actually did a skit on them. Like spot on. Seriously, like they did it spot on. So what was Clonade? Clonade is an American-based human cloning organization registered as a company in the Bahamas. Founded in 1997, it has philosophical ties with the UFO religion, realism, which sees cloning as the first step in achieving immortality. On December 27, 2002, Clonade's chief executive, Bridget Boisselier, I know I'm butchering that name, claimed that a baby clone named Eve was born. Media coverage of the claim sparked serious criticism and ethical debate that lasted more than a year. Florida attorney Bernard Siegel tried to appoint a special guardian for Eve and threatened to sue Clonade because he was afraid that the child might be treated like a lab rat. Siegel, who heard the company's actual name was not Clonade, decided that the Clonade project was a sham. Bioethicist Clara Alto condemned Clonade for premature human experimentation and noted the high incidence of malformations and thousands of fetal deaths in animal cloning. So I remember them doing the whole cloning of the sheep, Dolly. For some reason, I don't recall this hoax very much. I do recall something, but I mean, I am Canadian, so don't fault me on that. But yeah, I remember the argument of ethics of whether or not it would be ethical to clone a human. I don't know. Honestly, I'm a little on the fence about the whole cloning thing in period, because as much as I would love to clone my cat Simba, whether or not it would actually whether or not the personality would be the same is a totally different thing, because I keep thinking about multiplicity. And every time you clone something, every time you clone something, it degenerates in a way. So I don't know. I would personally, I'm gonna love my animals as much as I can when they're still alive. Cloning them to make them stay with me forever is kind of creepy. It's, to me, it would be like, I mean, humans have their own cloning abilities. I mean, I'm like a splitting image of my grandma, which is very creepy. Oh, Baby Eve, was that the discredited scientist turned cult leader? I think that was, yes. Because yeah, or they were both already in a cult and they just decided to make themselves more well known. Um, I get these scammers all mixed up. uh, oh yeah. Wasn't that covered on X-Files? There were several girls cloned and called Eve. Oh, I don't remember that episode. Most likely. I think that's where, I'm sure that's where they got that from. I remember an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa found an angel corpse and it turned out to be an ad for a mall. Yes, yes, I remember the statue, or yeah, the corpse. Yeah. Um, the personality would be different because it would grow up in another environment. Yeah. See, and didn't they, like, they did there was a group, I think this was the 70s, there was a group that had taken a set of triplets, and split them up, adopted them out to 3 different families. They ended up finding each other later on because, well, one guy did an interview, I believe it was on Oprah. And even even with them finding each other, they did find that they had some similarities between the three of them. But the experiment was to see if if there that similarity would still be prevalent if in different environments. Well, unfortunately, one of the triplets did commit suicide because I think the stress just got to him too much. I remember watching this documentary, and yeah, and there was a huge court case with the company that did this experiment. And yes, it's very unethical. I find any experiments done, whether or not it's to prove mental health deficiency or otherwise, or health related anything, is very unethical if the people who are who are part of the experiment don't know that it's an experiment. Daniel says, I always liked those late 19th century, early 20th century pictures of ghosts and fairies. Yes, the fairy photos. Okay, you bring up a good point. All human experiments are supposed to be volunteer. Yeah, but we're finding out more and more that a lot of the experiments that have happened wasn't agreed on. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, the Cottingley fairies. Thank you, Carl. Okay. So the Cottingley fairies appear in a series of 5 photographs taken by Elise Wright, 1901 to 1988, and Frances Griffiths, 1907 to 1986, 2 young cousins who live in Cottingley near Bradford, England. In 1917, when the first 2 photographs were taken, Elise was 16 years old and Frances was 9. The pictures came to attention of writer Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who used them to illustrate an article on fairies. He had been commissioned to write the Christmas 1920 edition of the Strand magazine. Doyle was a spiritualist, was enthusiastic about the photographs, and interpreted them as clear and visible evidence of psychic phenomena. Public reactions was mixed. Some accepted the images as genuine, others believed that they had been faked. Interest in the Cottingley fairies gradually declined after 1921. Both girls married and lived abroad for a time after they grew up, and yet the photographs continued to hold the public's imagination. In 1966, a reporter from the Daily Express newspaper traced Elise, who had by then returned to the United Kingdom. Elise left open the possibility that she believed she had photographed her thoughts, and the media once again became interested in the story. In the early 1980s, Elise and Frances admitted that the photographs were faked, using cardboard cutouts of fairies copied from popular children's books of the time. But Frances maintained that the 5th and final photograph was genuine. As of 2019, the photographs and cameras used are in the collections of the National Science and Media Museum in Bradford, England. And it is one of my, actually this one in particular is one of my favorite pictures, and it's probably the most famous one out of them all. Give me a sec. I mean, even with them not having Photoshop back then, this is freaking impressive. You have to admit that is pretty impressive photograph that they created. Um, I wish that they would have actually taught that in my photography class. That would have been fun to experiment with. Like I can understand, I can see how they did how they created that image, but in my mind, but actually doing it would be so fun to experiment with. Um, I think my husband would hate me turning one of our spare rooms into a dark room, but it would be fun. Um, so is this pre-recorded or live? I have a case of the confused. You are live, or I am live, my dear. So welcome to the show, Don. Damn return's supposed to be. uh, sorry, I'm just reading the. Oh, wait. Carl says, I don't know how anyone could believe that photo was real, but I guess you reached to believe. You know, that kind of reminds me of the pictures from the 90s where this woman would dress would dress babies up in like fruits and vegetables and like, other cute little photos. And I feel like something like that is, I remember seeing the pictures like that in the 90s, and it was like huge, very popular, like poster wise and collectible cards. And I'm just catching up on. Oh, Don says, Happy Father's Day to the dads out there, all the dads. I want to. I agree with you. Yes, all the dads should have a happy Father's Day, but there are some dads out there that, you know, kind of deserve a little bit more than a happy Father's Day, if you get my drift. Was Ann Deeds who did the veggie beats? Yes, yes. Wildcard Arts and Entertainment. Welcome to the show. Total hoax. Never been a hoax in the history of a hoax, that I can tell you. That guy with the hair. Oh, no, I'm trying to think of what other fun hoaxes happened in the last. Well, I mean, okay, so all the scam calls that we get, all the text messages. I got one yesterday about someone getting into my my Royal bank account, and I'm just like, yeah, not today, Satan. Nice try. Um, and I love watching the TikTok videos of people messing with scammers. That I I wish I can have. I wish I can do that to people, but a lot of times, most of the scams that call are like those voice automated ones. Uh, um, okay, let's see if I can get that video to load up. The dog father. But no, today seemed like a fun today was a fun day, other than um, it was a pretty busy day, considering. Um, but uh, had a had one customer kind of try to make a stink about her having to wait a little bit too long for the grooming area. I work in a pet store, and so so she was helped, and then she came up to the counter to pay for her bill, and lo and behold, her name was Karen. So all the Karens out there, you know, I know some of you really hate the fact that we use Karen as a derogatory term, but some of you make it really hard. Oh, there were a lot of flying machine hoaxes in the 1800s, Edgar Allan. Oh, yes, I completely forgot about that. Uh, oh, yep, you are a dad thesis to your pooch and angel and um, War of the Worlds. That's the most famous hoax ever. uh, World War of the Worlds is a science fiction novel by English author H.G. Wells. It was written between 1895 and 1897 and serialized in Pearson's Magazine in UK and Compilation Magazine in the US in 1897. The full novel was first published in hardcover in 1898. Let's see. Background, science, publication, invasion, Mars, space travel. Okay. Radio play. War of the World radio play. Okay. Okay. The War of the Worlds was a Halloween episode of the radio series The Mercury Theater on Air, directed and narrated by Orson Welles as an adaptation of H.G. Wells' novel The War of the Worlds. It was performed and broadcast live at 8 p.m. on October 30th, 1938, over the CBS radio network. The episode is famous for inciting a panic by convincing some members of the listening audience that a Martian invasion was taking place, though the scale of panic is disputed, as the program had relatively few listeners. The episode begins with the introductory monologue based closely on the opening of the source novel, after which the program takes on a format of an evening of typical radio programming, being periodically interrupted by news bulletins. The first few bulletins interrupted a program of live music and are relatively calm reports of unusual explosions on Mars, followed by seemingly unrelated reports of unknown object falling from a farm in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Yeah, because everybody would believe an alien spacecraft is in Jersey. Well, mind you, I guess that would explain the Jersey Shore people. The crisis escalates dramatically when an on-scene reporter at Grover's Mill describes creatures emerging from what is evidently an alien spacecraft. The aliens employ a heat ray against police and onlookers, and the radio correspondent describes the attack in increasing panic until his audio feed abruptly goes dead. This is followed by a rapid series of news updates detailing the beginning of a devastating alien invasion and the U.S. military futile efforts to stop it. So, yeah, I actually have a copy of the radio play. I actually found it at a record store a couple of years ago. Oh, so Carl says, after the radio broadcast, there were reports of people harming themselves, but researchers are now saying there were not too many people self-harming. See, and that's just it. I think that's it. That's what, you know, I think they were using that to sell more copies of the radio play, or try to get it to, I don't know, play more, or hype up the radio play. It's funny how they kept announcing that War of the Worlds was just a dramatization, but people freaked out anyway. I mean, yeah, I mean, we've seen people go crazy over, you know, the pandemic. So one hoax after another. And no, I'm in no way insinuating that the pandemic was a hoax. Trust me, guys, I'm not that nuts. Okay, so here's the video that I wanted to show you.
Claim that particular honor. We're here to meet Bob Hieronymus, who as a young man used to ride with Patterson and Gimlin. Bob claims that back in '67, he was the guy who strode across Bluff Creek in Patterson's Bigfoot suit. Around here, there are a lot of people who will back Bob's story up. And, well, there's that walk.
People say I walk like Bigfoot anyway.
To his friends, Bob's Bigfoot role is old news.
I've heard a lot of people say, you know, can you believe that old Bob was really Bigfoot? You know, that was a lot of people say that, you know.
Bob says his secret wasn't much of a secret around here.
My big concern always was that somebody's going to shoot you, you know.
That was my big concern wearing the suit.
That was my big concern all the time.
Everybody around here, you know, after a few years, knew that was me.
Oh, yeah. We knew it.
We all just everybody just kind of kept it quiet.
According to Bob, Roger Patterson approached him in the fall of 1967 with an offer that was too good to pass up.
He wanted a pretty good sized guy, you know, somebody that they could trust to wear this Bigfoot suit.
So, I mean, what's true is the guy who claims that he wore the suit, or the guy who made the video of the of Bigfoot. See, I love YouTube because it's given me so much information to go off of. I swear, I'm sorry that Keisha couldn't make it for this discussion. I appreciate you guys being in the chat for this, though. But I love going down the Yeti Hole about talking about hoaxes, because it definitely opens up the knowledge base. Like I definitely just let YouTube do its thing, and I'm just like taking notes. Okay, gotta talk about this. But I definitely learned a lot more than I thought I would about this subject. We had a good show, even though we missed Keisha's opinions. Yes. So I apologize. The show could have been a little bit longer, but but you know, 45 minutes is a pretty good show. Okay, so next week, or not next week, next episode. Come on, calendar, get up. Our next episode is July 7th. Should we do cults? Do you guys think that we should talk about cults finally after being on the air, doing the show for a couple years? Keisha always says that she was in a vampire cult, so let's let's interview Keisha. Let's put her in the hot seat and let's find out what this vampire cult was all about. Okay. Yes, cults, says Daniel. Oh, so yes, we might actually need someone else to be on the show. So who will want to talk about cults with us. So cults would be fun, especially with Keisha. So yeah, let's do it. Next episode, we're gonna talk about cults. So Heaven's Gate, Branch Davidians, the Jonestown Massacre. It's gonna be a fun night. Don't forget your Nike shoes and your gowns, and don't forget the Kool-Aid. Yes, it is my show. We can talk about anything we want. That's true. Okay, guys. I promise I won't get. I promise. Oh my god. You guys get the point. All right, you guys have a great night. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you guys being here and supporting me. You can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/serialboxpodcast, or as Johnny likes me to say, patreon.com/serialboxpodcast. So if you guys want to become a Patreon member, please subscribe to us. You guys can also host your own show with us. We're going to try doing that more often. So if you guys want to do your own show hosted with any member of the Serial Box network, we would love to see you on here, and we would love to join you. So yeah, and I swear there was something else that I needed to put up here. Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay, so you guys can find me all over social media. I am the social media socialite. I am pretty much everywhere. I don't really use X very much, but yeah, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere you can find me pretty much everywhere. So thanks, Carl. Night Willow, rest up. Thank you very much. So you guys have a wonderful evening and happy Father's Day.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi's